On June 16, 1944, the execution of the youngest person took place. A 14-year-old boy was sentenced to the electric chair. The American justice system consistently continued to astonish the world. The case we are going to discuss today was no exception. Perhaps the boy deserved such punishment if he had actually committed the crime he was accused of. But did the suspicion of the boy's race play a crucial role here, as he was a person of color? Or did law enforcement just want to pin the blame on him? Arrest and its reasons. 79 years ago in 1944, a colored young boy named George Stinney was executed in the electric chair for a crime he did not actually commit. In the history of the United States, he became one of the youngest death row inmates, and a stark contradiction to the democracy that prevails in this free country. George was arrested in 1944 on charges of raping and killing two young girls, 8 and 11 years old, Mary and Betty. Their bodies were found in a ditch filled with mud near an abandoned church in Alkaloo, South Carolina. The autopsy revealed that Mary and Betty had been beaten to death and then raped. Several witnesses saw the young boy talking to the girls on the roadside the day before the incident. This served as the reason for George's arrest, even though he had an alibi that confirmed his innocence in the matter. Several officers, without any witnesses and in a locked room, interrogated the boy for a whole hour. At the end of the interrogation, the sheriff came out with a statement that George had confessed. However, there were no preserved documents to confirm his words, and they might not have existed in the first place. Later, Steve McKenzie claimed that one of the officers had promised George ice cream in exchange for his confession. Attorney, a trusted representative providing legal services. The trial. The dangerous criminal was tried for 3 hours. Charles Plowden, a tax commissioner working in the government structure, played the role of the attorney. The witnesses were local residents who discovered the bodies and the doctors who examined the bodies at the scene of the incident. The police claimed that the boy had fully confessed to the crime at the time of his arrest, but for some reason, this fact was not officially confirmed, and the police were simply taken at their word. No witnesses were presented for the defense, and there was no cross-examination. The defense attorney's argument was based on George's young age. The law in South Carolina states that individuals over the age of 14 are held accountable for serious crimes. Witness testimonies ended at 5:30, and the jury members left for deliberation. 10 minutes later, they returned and found George guilty. A minor detail, but I will mention it nonetheless. The jury was all white. As a result, the boy was sentenced to the electric chair with no possibility of parole. When asked to file an appeal, the attorney declined, as the boy's family could not afford his services. And so, on June 16, 1944, the boy was executed. He was so small that they had to tie knots on the straps on his limbs, and they placed a Bible under him, which he never parted with in prison. His height was 155 centimeters. He was that small. Imagine how scared he must have been, disproving the guilt. 70 years later, in 2014, Judge Carmen Mullen overturned the executed sentence of George, citing a series of violations. Ray Chandler, the attorney hired by George Stinney's family, pushed this case forward. Assistance also came from activists McKenzie and Burgess. They filed a petition in 2013 to have the case reviewed, presenting arguments of George's innocence that could not be refuted.